SS gentleman, Dean Alejandro, and we're about to get personal. A lot of people have asked me how I came out, when I came out, and basically my story. It's something that I haven't really told ever. I haven't really told too many people about it. It's a very personal story, kind of traumatic, very difficult. It is the reason why it took me so long to come out. And as days have passed, more things have come together to make me realize that everything happens for a reason, and that even though it was a really difficult situation, I'm so happy that not that I had to go through it, but I was able to get to where I am today, to be loved and in a healthy, loving relationship, and be able to set that example for my future children. So with that being said, I knew that I was a male when I was probably about 4 years old. I knew it was different. I didn't know that it was different. I saw myself the same. I didn't understand why I was being separated and like I had to go into different bathrooms or like had to dress differently. I didn't really realize too many of those things. I'd always pick, the boy toy versus the girl toy at the store or whatever. I was always more of a tomboy. And to me, everything else in my values pretty much stayed the same. And of course it wasn't until I was around other people that I noticed different things. And growing up, I didn't really have a healthy relationship with my biological parents. So, between the two things, I didn't really know what was going on because I was too busy trying to parent myself into becoming a healthy individual and not given to bad habits or anything else than focusing on who I am. So it was until I was 6 years old when I came out basically to my cousin. And when I say come out, I mean I told her, hey, I'm a boy. Like, I'm a boy. This is what it is. And at that point in time, you're so young, you don't see anything different. Now, when I came out as gay, coming out, it was bad. That was traumatic alone. It was not, nobody at that point was gay. It was a very big deal. I remember I was in middle school. I went through a meeting. I got banker-acted. Multiple people found out. It was like this big deal. Actually, I don't think I came out until I was actually banker-acted. So that's a completely whole different story as far as me coming out as gay and coming out the first time. If you're interested in hearing about that, comment below, and I'll make sure to make something about that. But I want to keep this shorter. This is focusing on when I came out as trans, realizing who I am truly meant to be and have always been. So coming out then as gay, it never felt right. Nothing ever felt right. And it all really makes a lot of sense now. But everyone thought I was so brave for like sticking it to the man and like being out and proud when no one else was. But I was still just trying to fight for who I felt I was. And even then, the shoe never fit comfortably. I was still basically a walking pride float, going out, trying to be visible, I guess, then for those who couldn't too. And it still never felt right. And, I adopted more of an image, I think, with that. And I thought that's what it was, And it wasn't until 2013 when I had class with an individual, and that individual was outed by one of our instructors. And it wasn't until then that I had thought about transgender people. And I know that sounds kind of insane, but I came from a sheltered place, but I also came from a very not sheltered place. And growing up when I didn't have Google. I didn't have the internet. I couldn't just Google what these feelings were. And I had a lot of internalized transphobia placed with some people who raised me were also extremely transphobic. So I was initially trying to keep the long hair, keep the girly girl figure, whatever, for my family, for other things, because that's who I was meant to be, so on and so forth. So I didn't really know too much about transgender people or anything. And I once that happened in class, I was kind of caught off guard, and I was attracted to it. I was like, I needed to know more. I needed more information. I had to know. And the person I was dating at the time was a very big lipstick lesbian. I'll just leave it there. And so I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to her because it caught my attention, but there was no need to bring it up to her, especially because she was she's the type of person that does not really like men in general. If anyone knows her, you would know that within standing 100 feet away, but that's besides the point. And so I put it off. I didn't really think anything of it. And we went to Pride that year. It was my first Pride ever. And I was excited, but also kind of not. Like, now I understand why, but I was still excited. And that guy found me there. He ran into me and he was like, he stopped me and he's like, hey, by the way, I'm trans. Like, that's, what happened in class. And I was just kind of confused and kind of like, oh my goodness, like, this is awesome. But I was just so like kind of shocked because I had never experienced something like that, I guess, to my face. And my girlfriend at the time she did not. She kind of just like walked off and pulled me off. And that was sitting with me for a little bit as far as that individual and him telling me, and I was very attracted to it. So I reached out to him because we were in the same class, and a couple of days or a couple weeks later, I reached out to him and I asked him some more information, like, how did you know? And how, and I was actually opening myself up a lot, which I had never really done because I knew I've been feeling these things for a while, but I also believe that everything happens for a reason. So I was fought with not wanting to change anything physically, just because multiple reasons, I guess. And so I started asking him all these questions and explaining to him that, I felt this way my entire life and nothing's right, and, going into detail. And he told me his experience, and I swear in that moment, I can tell you almost what I was wearing, where I was, everything. And in that very moment, I knew exactly. I was like, I said, holy shit. Like, I was literally typing online, holy crap, I think I'm trans. And I had this gut sinking feeling in my stomach. I was living at my grandparents' house at the time with the girl that I was basically about to get engaged to. And I remember this sinking feeling like, oh my God, my life is over. Because I didn't know anything about it, and I just felt so alone. Like, I don't really know, and I didn't really know what to do. So, that night, the person I was dating started asking me what was up, and I told her, I was like, I have to be honest with you. Like, that's one thing that I am. Like, I am honest. If something is not right with me, like, I will straight up tell you. And I told her, like, something's not right. I feel like I was born in the wrong body. And in that moment, everything turned. Like, everything completely turned. Like, she completely, it was insane. Like, even thinking about it now, it's just crazy to me. She was like, you are fucking disgusting. That is disgusting. What do you mean? And because you need to understand too, like, I had long hair, like, we were both lipstick lesbians. Like, she goes around and considers herself a gold star lesbian. For who those of you don't know, it just means that you have not had sex with a guy, which I'm not even getting to that either. And it escalated so bad, I had to pull her out of the house. And in that point in time, I told her, I was like, I just am coming to terms with how I'm feeling. I just feel like I was born in the wrong body. She was like, well, what do you mean? Are you going to be changing? Are you going to be changing your physical appearance? Are you going to be doing this? That's disgusting. And just like going off. And I was kind of like, no, nothing's changing. But nothing has changed. And I was so hurt at that point in time because I was like, nothing's literally changed. Like, the only thing that has changed is me telling you that I'm feeling this way. It got so bad that I had to call someone to come over. My ex ended up punching a hole in the wall. It was probably one of the worst experiences I have ever gone through, which resulted in me coming out so late now and having a lot of other problems. So basically what happened is I had to call someone to come over, and they had to physically come in between us. And they basically said, hey, this person is not changing at all. They're literally the same person. They said they're not going to do any physical transformation. They're not going to do anything. They're just coming to terms with it. And my ex at the time was still like, that's unacceptable. This is disgusting. I will not stand for that. If you're going to be with me, this is how it's going to be. And I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird. But I was so hurt and had so many feelings that I kind of just went with it. And I was kind of just scared at that point in time. It was a really long night. We were already planning on moving in with each other. We already signed a lease to move in. And actually, a couple of weeks later, we ended up going to Colorado, and she ended up proposing to me to try to like band-aid the situation. Now, we were engaged for quite a long time, and it always went back to, every time I tried to talk about it, her deflecting and her saying, you know, negative things in a different way and stunting my growth. And it was the worst experience that I have ever gone through. I don't know how I went through with it for so long. I guess I thought that I didn't deserve any better. I guess, you know, I'm not sure. But that's how I ended up coming out. The first person I came out to was someone who I thought I could trust, and they turned it completely different, which was actually similar to the same time I came out as gay, but not. So it's hard. All of this is hard. Nothing about it is easy. Even people in our community, they're transphobic, and their internalized transphobia will show when they talk to you. All you can do is just don't even think about it. Don't even be negative. Just let them do their own thing. I'm blessed that I was able to shake away from the situation. If I would have known that that was only the beginning, and if that the fights would have physically gotten worse, I would have left a lot sooner. But I did not feel safe to. I did not feel, it was not okay. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I did some things that were messed up too. But the thing is if you are who you are, especially being in the community, you also need to support others. So that's just basically how I came out to the person I was dating at the time, and when I did. And like I said, that was in 2013. So I didn't come out officially until September of 2017. So I'd been putting it off for a very long time, even though I knew. So remember, that intuition that you have and that gut feeling, most of the time, it is right. And if you need someone to talk to, just message me. I will always be here. Until next time.